Hi, everybody. It's Mrs. K. I'm in my music room again. I will be so glad when we get to be back together in Kids for Christ or Kids Church. So, have you been watching some of those videos? Do you like them? Did you watch the one that had the clicking pen? That was to show an example of what it's like when you're bored. Okay, and we learned in our lesson about David that if you stay in the moment, which means give your full attention and your best effort to what you're doing, you can handle it better. Did you see the video with the light bulb? That was about having an idea, but not just any idea, having a God idea. And we learned from our lesson about David that when you have one of those God ideas, you need to stick with it and not let anyone's negative ideas squash your commitment to God. Well, today we're going to have another lesson about David. You guessed it. Do you remember what David's idea was? This is what it was. He said to King Saul, King Saul, I'm going to go fight that giant Goliath, and God will go with me. He didn't let his brother's bullying remarks stop him. And when the king suggested that he should wear armor, David knew that wasn't going to work. So David got the all clear sign. You can go fight the giant. If it had been me, right about then, I would have gulped and I would have said, what are you thinking? How in the world did David get the nerve to walk out into that valley between two armies and face a giant that was 3 feet taller than him? One word, faith. Was his faith in the 5 stones that he carried in a pouch? What? 5 stones? What was so special about them? Well, they were very smooth. This rock right here, very, very smooth. It's called river rock, and it has become smooth because water has gone over it year after year, and it's making it smooth. And if you want to throw it or sling it, it's going to go there more accurately than a jagged old rock which will wobble in the air and not get where you want it to go. So he had 5 of them. Just like this? Oh no, not like this. They were more the size of this tennis ball, and they weighed about a pound. But the thing you really need to know is when David would sling these stones in his slingshot, how fast would they travel? 60 miles an hour. That is fast. So, was David's faith in the 5 tennis balls sized smooth stone? Was his faith in his skill of slinging stones accurately? Was his faith in his own agility? Smaller guys can move pretty fast, faster than big guys that are weighed down with a bunch of armor. Was his faith in the fact that he was young, just 17? He was definitely younger than Giant. Was his faith in the element of surprise? Goliath might not even want to fight David because he would think, it's like a flea landing on a dog. It can bite, but it can't hurt. The answer to all of those questions is no. While they might be strategies that David used, I promise you, David did not have his faith in any of them. How do you know that, Mrs. K? Because of David's own words. Let's look at the scene. We have one guy that's not very tall walking out into the middle of the valley, holding on to his shepherd's staff, which is like a stick. And in the other hand, he's got a sling. And he's facing a very big giant with lots of weapons. You got to hear what the giant said when he saw this pipsqueak of a boy. Am I a dog that you're coming after me with a stick? and he cursed David by the Philistine gods. Come on, boy, I'm going to make roadkill of you and feed you to the buzzards. If there was a time that David might felt like running, it would have been right then. David, look how big he is. David, look at all those weapons. David, listen to what he's saying. You are dead meat, boy. But this is what David said. You come at me with a sword and a spear and a battle axe. Yep, those are weapons, all right. But this is my weapon. I come at you in the name of the God of the angel army and the God of Israel's troop. There you go. There is where David's faith was. It wasn't in a what, it was in a who, in God Almighty. You see, if David had put his faith in his ability to sling stones, he was going to have to be perfect. Nobody can be that good all the time. Not to mention that the stress of that kind of situation can really make it more difficult for you to perform at your best. Not to mention that if he missed, it wasn't likely that he was going to get a second chance. So David's idea was very simple. Yeah, I'm young. Yeah, I'm inexperienced. Yeah, my weapons are inferior. But I have a great big God. And then you got to hear what David said to Goliath. This is so cool. This very day, God is handing you over to me. I'm going to kill you, cut off your head, and serve your body and the bodies of all your Philistine buddies up to the crows and coyotes. The whole earth is going to know that there's an extraordinary God in heaven, and everyone gathered here will learn that God does not save by means of a sword or a spear. This battle belongs to God. If you're facing a tough situation, you don't have to have super giant size faith. If you have teeny tiny faith, but it's in a great big God, that's all you need. God will fight your battles. Francesca Battistelli and Rita Springer both recorded this song. It's called Defender. It's about David. I think you'll like it. You go before I know that you've even gone to win my war. Your love becomes my greatest defense. It leads me from the dry wilderness. All I did was praise. All I did was worship. All I did was bow down. All I did was stay still. So David faced the giant, who was now really angry at him for what he said. David put a smooth stone in his sling, wound it up, and let it fly. The result? One little guy with teeny tiny faith in a great big God. One. Giant? Zero. And everything David said would happen to the giant and to the Philistine army happened that day. You got a tough situation? How big is your God? He's big enough to fight for you. So put your teeny tiny faith in our great big God. I hope you guys are encouraged by this. I love you lots and can't wait to see you again. Talk to you later.